right. Good stuff, guys. I like that. Hey, good morning. Hope you're all having a good start to the day. I don't know why you guys weren't here at 8:45. I always think the 8:45 service to me is like, that's just too early, So good job. You're with me here. You got that same belief. Well, hey, we're going to have a little fun today. And, you really should all the time when it comes to being with God and to look in His Word. We get to have a good time with that. But this one will be probably maybe a little more fun. And what's really funny in this is this message gets to go right along with where I feel a lot of times going like, who the heck am I up here on stage? So, but the scripture will talk about that today. Okay, so we're going to have some fun. We're continuing the series here of, following Jesus in a jacked up church. You just got to love that title. So this message is a little bit of like, this Christianity might kind of seem a little jacked up to people who aren't a part of it. So kind of want to give you this challenge here as we look at this one statement. I want you to kind of think this through the day here. So let's pop up that slide up there real quick and just, think of it this way. Are you serious about this Jesus stuff? Your friends, the people around you who aren't Christians, what do they think about this stuff and about you? So we're gonna have a good time going through that. I want to, help us to really, if we step back and we think about what we believe as Christians, it's important to recognize it may seem a little strange to people on the outside. And I think sometimes it's really important to remember that when we're talking to people that, sometimes we're going, well, it's a no-brainer. This is, of course you'd follow God. Why wouldn't you? But when you look at some of the things, it seems a little odd. Just think about this. First off, you're here on a Sunday morning. You could be sleeping in. Right? The world would say, hey, it's really important to take care of yourself. So, sleeping in on Sunday morning and just relaxing would be the best thing for you. Why would you go to church? Come on. So you're giving up a Sunday morning. I know there's people out there that would go. I remember hearing one time this guy that before he was a Christian, he's saying, dude, why football's on? Why would I go to church? Come on, I'm going to miss football. That's a little bit much that God's asking, right? So you're up early in the morning. Some of these other strange things, you got to listen to some boring speaker, tell you a bunch of stuff, and that's not the most thrilling thing is to listen to a speaker in life. You have these odd beliefs about, this communion is what? You're going to drink Jesus' blood and eat his body. Might seem a little strange to people outside there. This baptism stuff, you got this overexcited guy trying to drown you. And that's this is a little weird. And then just even thinking about, the icon of our faith is an execution device, right? If you just step back, things may seem a little odd on the outside. But isn't it kind of funny how once we really believe this, once Jesus comes in, it's all kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. I get it. Why wouldn't, right? Why wouldn't anyone else want to follow? Because this is where life is at. It's funny how that light switch can turn when Jesus comes in. But how we get there is the interesting thing. And as we look at today, looking at the gospel as a gospel-centric church, as a church that wants to share and live the gospel, what's that all about? So let's go through. We're gonna look at 1 Corinthians chapter 1 again. We're going to go through verses 18 through 31 today. And we're going to go deeper into this stuff and try to understand what we're supposed to do, who we're supposed to be, and how we live this out here. So let's read this. I'm going to read it with you on screen here. The message of the cross is foolish to those who are headed for destruction. Okay, that's the key to this passage, right? What we do as followers of Christ may look really strange and absolutely foolish to the world around us. And so maybe the question to start off for all of us is, where are we at? Are we fully convinced this is the real deal? Of course I'm going to follow. Are we at a spot where we're going, I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure if I really believe this or not. Or are you at the point where you're going, this is stupid. I'm just here with this person next to me. That's the only reason I'm in the building today. That's all right, wherever you are, but just look at that and think, okay, how does this all play out? So to the world, the stuff we believe looks absolutely foolish. But we who are being saved know it is the very power of God. This gospel that we're going to talk about is the power to everything we do and everything we think. It's incredible. As the scriptures say, I will destroy, this is how God works here, is I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and discard the intelligence of the intelligent. we live in a very interesting world today where there are a lot of people out there who have incredible amount of wisdom and will treat us who aren't as smart, because I'm a pretty simple-minded guy, and will just say, I'm a complete idiot because I don't follow along what they're saying. God does this really cool thing of like making the super intelligent who are all about themselves not necessarily look so good. They get to have their intelligence thrown out by God's intelligence. So where does this leave the philosophers, the scholars, and the world's brilliant debaters? God made the wisdom of this world look foolish. Since God in his wisdom saw to it that the world would never know him, and this is just interesting, God would never know him. We'll go to the next one. There we go, yeah. Through human wisdom. It's not about us. That's what we'll be hitting on a lot today. It's not about this great, incredible wisdom we have through our human wisdom. So he has used foolish preaching. See, I told you could talk about me up here on stage. Who am I? I'm some idiot, all right? But guess what? God uses idiots like me to change the world, all right? So our foolish preaching to save those who believe. It is foolish to the Jews who ask for signs from heaven, and it is foolish to the Greeks who seek human wisdom. This is such an interesting passage as we go into there to talk about the Jewish people. If you are someone of the Jewish faith today in our world, how are you looking at Jesus and the gospel? How does that seem to you? Because again, the whole buildup through the Old Testament we see is the mighty conqueror is coming. The Savior of the world is coming, right? And the perception was he's going to come kick some booty. And he's going to establish his empire, and everybody get out of the way because we're kicking your butt, all right? I don't know if I should say that, but I just did. Can't stop it. Sorry. And then the Greeks. What are these Greeks? I mean, I feel like I know a lot of Greeks, even though I don't really know a lot of Greeks. I just know a lot of people who act like the Greeks that are mentioned here in this passage of they just need this incredible wisdom, right? It's got to be some deep philosophical thought. I mean, this Christianity, it's got to be more than this simplistic mindset. It's got to be this enormous path to getting to this wisdom of God. They're looking for that. Jesus' message and who he was not this intensive thing that only the wisest of wise can understand. So, when we preach that Christ was crucified, the Jews are offended and the Gentiles say it's all nonsense. But to those called by God to salvation, both Jews and Gentiles, Christ is the power of God and the wisdom of God. Pretty important statement there. All right, let's go. This foolish, I can't remember what it says next, so I got to do this. This foolish plan of God is wiser than the wisest of human plans, and God's weakness is stronger than the greatest of human strength. That's where we're going to stop for now. God on his worst day is way better than any of us on our very best day. And the best of us of all on this earth could never attain. Einstein, all the others, guys, sorry. You got some serious smarts, I get it, but you're nowhere close to God. And it's interesting, though, as we go into all this stuff, there's some freeing power to all these things, that we are not the greatest, the smartest, the wisest, the toughest, whatever it is. So let's dig into this a little bit here. So first off, when it goes to that first sentence of the message of the cross is foolishness, right, to the world, to those who are headed for destruction, but to us it is the power of God. What is that gospel? I mean, let's just bare bones talk back to this thing here. What is it that this message Jesus has given through his life? I mean, first off, it is God sending his son. So God himself is coming down to earth to be a little baby in a little town, little family, average people, doing stuff. And I was joking last service. It was really funny because a buddy of mine who actually was from Findlay was in the service. But I had a little fun last service kind of going, how do we look at Findlay, right? Everyone rips on Findlay. Oh, that's Findlay, Okay, I'm from Yakima, so I know the feeling because all you guys rip on my town, all right? Oh, yeah, Yakima, the Palm Springs of Washington, you mean? Yeah, right, okay. But we make fun of some of these other towns that aren't as cool as ours, whatever the reason would be. Well, obviously, Nazareth, where Jesus is from, was one of those places, like, from Nazareth. Yeah, world leader's going to come out of there, all right? Yeah, sure. Findlay's going to produce the next top scientist. Okay, just kidding, yeah. Just kidding, because you never know these things, all right? But anyway, I mean, just that plan starts out, this is a bad idea, God. This is not going to go where you think it's supposed to go. I mean, we want leadership. We want power. And then this message, this Jesus died. Well, wait a minute. Where's the crescendo of all this amazing thing of him taking over the world? No. He died and then got stuck in a tomb. Wow, interesting. But it's more than that, right? So then we look at the gospel. I grew up knowing the Romans road. That's what people taught me. If you know what that is, the Romans scripture in Romans, it just lays out what the gospel is. So you talk in Romans 3:23, for all have sinned, fall short of God's glory. So all of us, the basics of this gospel is every single one of us has failed, and probably failed miserably many times. We all know that. We've got to admit it. If we can't admit that, we got greater issues, right? But we've all cheated, lied, done something. We've done something bad. We've messed somebody's life up. We've said some unkind things as that guy cut us off on the freeway. Whatever it is, we've done bad things, some horrible things, right? Every one of us. And just by one of those alone is going to keep us then from being with God and being in heaven and knowing Jesus as our Savior. But there's more to it, right? So the wages of sin is death, it says in Romans 5:8, but the gift of God is eternal life. So yet, while there's that horrible sin and it's keeping us from God, we do have the path to get there. Because this gift from God is mentioned that while we were yet sinners, Christ died on the cross for us in Romans 6:23. So we see, okay, then through that death on the cross, I can be saved. That's pretty cool. And then Romans 10:9 and 10 will say that if we believe and receive, right? If we believe that this happened, that Jesus did do this stuff, and we receive him into our lives to take control, then we are saved. That is the gospel. It's a cool message because the cool part of it is, what do I have to do? I have to get out of the way. I have to shut up and just go, you take control. It's nothing I could ever do. And it's so freeing because, guys, you all know we struggle day to day with what I did bad that day or should have done better. We play those mind games all the time. And it may be little stuff, it may be bigger addictions, whatever it would be. But the beauty is, like in that all that scripture is saying, God has this plan that seems absolutely foolish to the world. But to us who receive it, we know it's the greatest thing there ever was. It frees us to live life to the fullest. Do we get to go, okay, I messed up. It's all right. I'm moving on. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful, powerful message that we have got to get. It's for every single human being. No one's disqualified from hearing this message and from being able to receive this message. Every one of us. And I think what was really cool, I just finished reading on CD. It's great. I do better reading on CD than or anything audio versus visual, I think. But someone lent me the book called Tattoos on the Heart. And I encourage you to take a look at it. It's very interesting. I'll warn you, it's got a lot of profanity. And the funny thing is, it's a Catholic priest who's the one who's reading and wrote the book. But it's about gang life in L.A. and how he was able to create this incredible ministry to serve these kids and help them to have a better life. It's just a beautiful, incredible stuff of learning. I encourage you to take a look at it. But but you just got to get through the profanity, right? You got to ignore that. But it's a big deal. That's a big deal. Okay, sorry. But one of the things he said there was really intriguing to me in the midst of this. He was talking, and I'm not going to get the quote exactly right, but he basically is saying, we often think of, getting to this paradise of life, this ultimate living is this big, long process of steps, right? We got to get better and better and better and better and better until finally we reach that pinnacle of where God wants us and this life that's fullest. When in fact, God is saying that paradise has been here the whole time. You just need to accept it. And I love that saying, because this gospel is just right here. And we don't have to do anything. And we got to stop trying to do all these things to earn it and just accept it. And we need to stop beating ourselves up when we fail. Because a beauty part of this message of the gospel is that God sees the world differently than we may see the world. God sees us differently than we see ourselves so often. What if we saw ourselves through his eyes? We wouldn't be so condemning. We would be forgiving. We would get ourselves a second chance. We would ask that forgiveness and we would move on. And guys, I've been there in the midst of it where I felt, literally, I remember reading through one of the struggles I was going through that was so devastating to a lot of people around me because of my sin. And I looked at the scripture in Psalms and I saw what I did. I'm an enemy of God. I mean, literally in that verse, those who do these things are enemies of God. And I'm kind of like, who am I to do anything good? And then to move forward from that moment and say, can I actually be a part of God's plan when I was this? Guys, if we stay stuck in that, what we were, we're in trouble. If we can accept this gospel, then we've got this incredible future. So forgive yourselves. Be willing to move on. God's ready. God wants it. This world definitely sees things in a very strange way, or thinks we see things, I guess, in a strange way. And that's what's just kind of funny. The Jews and the Greeks were perfect examples. Some people want to see these big miraculous signs. The funny thing is, look through the Old Testament, there are plenty of miraculous signs, and then literally, practically the next day, the Jewish people are going, well, let's serve a golden calf, right? So God can do all the miracles in the world, but it's still a matter of whether you and I are going to say, okay, I accept it. I know who you are and who I am. And the only way to get to the life that's good and the salvation you promise is to accept you and accept it. It's a strange thing to look at. So anyway, I want to pull up a couple of verses up here that kind of talk about this strange dichotomy of what's going on in this faith and how some people can see it. So let's pop up a verse out of Matthew and Mark. Let's go to those ones. Two different views of what happens when Jesus is on the cross, right? You've got the Roman officer who's standing there, who'd been with Jesus probably for quite a number of hours through this process of him coming to his death, and crying out to God just before it, Father, why have you forsaken me? And then dies. And the guy simply says, this man truly was a son of God. He knew what he just witnessed was just unbelievable. Something crazy just happened. And he could not help but say, this had to be the man of God, the Son of God. Wow. And then you got the opposite side of looking at this whole gospel, and this is where his other people are going to be, right? He saved others. Why can't he save himself, right? He can't save himself, so he's the king of Israel? What? Let him come down from the cross right now, and then we'll believe him. We can be in these different spots, and this Christianity and this gospel can seem pretty confusing depending on which side you're on there. I understand some people are on the bottom. Probably many of you have got to the top quote going, yeah, I don't get it all. I don't understand everything. But I know enough that Jesus is the Son of God, and I'm going to follow him. It's pretty cool to look at all that stuff. But it's also, I think, important to recognize that those who don't believe, they're going to look at this and go, I just think that's a little odd. I'm not sure if I can just believe that right now. So to expect someone to come to this belief like that, okay, don't expect that to happen right away. That may not be the way it is. Sometimes I always think that, that message is just too simple for some people. And I don't think this wise way sometimes. I feel like, I don't know how to say that, but I'm thinking, some of you guys might be super scientists or something, and I'm just not. I'm a simple dude who just, likes reading comic books versus some encyclopedia or something like that. We're just different. Okay, anyway, let me pop up here. I want to look at this one verse, though, 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 17, actually. And this was a verse that Josh had hit on just at the end of the last week's message and that, but it really ties into this scripture, and it helps us go a little bit deeper with it. It helps us understand a little bit more of why this message is important and how it needs to be taken to us very personally, and not just how we look at the world around us and the people around us. It said this, Paul is speaking to these people. He's saying, for Christ didn't send me to baptize, but to preach the good news, and not with clever speech, for fear that the cross of Christ would lose its power. I like to, sometimes when I preach, I'm just going, man, I am nobody up here. And what I've kind of learned is I just need to do the best job I can at getting out of the way. If we as Christians try to flower up the message of Christ, if we feel like we got to give it some kind of extra oomph, we're kind of forgetting that the whole power of the message is the message. So in the same way, guys, guess what? You don't have to have it all together. You don't have to be perfect. You don't need to be in that ultimate spot of, okay, now I'm in a place where I can tell people about Jesus because my life is good enough. Guess what? We're never going to get there. But this is so beautiful because Paul's just saying, I'm not here to make some flowery thing because if I do, I will get in the way. We know God's word is powerful and it will dig deep into every man's soul. It's dug deep into our souls. Let it happen. And as we look at that verse, I do kind of want to just challenge us a bit. How many of us have actually ever shared that gospel? Okay? Those words about what Jesus did. It's amazing that we in America as Christians, say we're Christians and follow, but have maybe never, ever, ever told anyone about Jesus. It was amazing when I first started coming here to the church about a year and a half ago, 2 years, whenever it was, started coming. And I remember Josh talking one day about that he was, talking to this guy and sharing the gospel with him and just all this cool message of, all the story of what was going on. And I went back to my office and I was going, you know what? And this is really sad commentary right here. That's the first time I remember a pastor sharing a story about sharing the gospel in decades. I almost could not remember a pastor I'd been around who'd telling me a story of how they were sharing the gospel. Maybe our churches in America, maybe we got a little off track and have not focused in on what's the purpose, right, of this gospel message. I don't know. So I was like, okay, well, if this Josh guy is pastor and he's saying that stuff, that's kind of cool. I'm excited. That gets me really excited that, you know what, we're focusing on that as a church. So anyway, it's a cool thing. I like to be able to look at that verse and just go, you know what, again, God's word is so powerful on its own, I just simply need to share it and let it do its work. You don't have to have it together. Let's look at these last verses, or the next verses in 1 Corinthians 26 through 29 of chapter 1. This is, again, where it kind of starts to go more personal even further. Remember, dear brothers and sisters, that few of you were wise in the world's eyes or powerful and wealthy when God called you. That's kind of what I mentioned again. I'm not this super smart guy, so don't look to me for scientific answers, all right? Instead, God chose the things of the world the world considers foolish in order to shame those who think they are wise. And he chose things that are powerless to shame those who are powerful. God chose things despised by the world, things counted as nothing at all, and used them to bring to nothing, if I got that right, what the world considers important. As a result, no one can ever boast in the presence of God. God is going to show us one way or another that the things that the world considers important are not important. The things that he considers important are where life is found. And he's going to use whatever means necessary to get there. As I talk about this science stuff, it was really funny. Some years ago, I met a guy by the name of George Garlick. I don't know if any of you guys know George. He lives in town here. Older gentleman who is probably the smartest man I've ever been around. I just was amazing. He's got a street named out after him out there at the Hanford site. He's got like 50 patents to his name. He's, one of the most revered, respected scientific minds of the Hanford and the nation probably, Incredible guy. Well, he wrote a book probably 15 years ago just about how science proves his faith. And how he's saying, all these years of being in the scientific world, it has done nothing but strengthen my belief in God. Because I see it, and I'm going, that's pretty cool because, again, I'm a simple dude. So the name of the book is great. So Matt Fickle was so nice to send it to me at the end of the sermon. The book is called The Journey to Truth. So if you ever want to read it, it's pretty cool. But here's the funny thing about this book. Again, talking about my simple mind, I'm reading this thing, and it's really cool, some interesting stuff, and it starts to go a little bit deeper into scientific aspects and talking about dimensions and stuff. Whoa, weird, wow, that's pretty cool. And then I get to this one chapter, and man, I read it 3 times. I had no idea what it was talking about. I finally gave up and moved on to the next chapter and just have never, ever read that chapter anymore because it's just out of my comprehension. And it's so cool because, again, God's saying, hey, it's not those guys are the only ones that are going to figure out this gospel and this path to paradise, this ultimate living in Christ. Every single one of us can get it. And it's interesting, too, to even look at this, that how the gospel is so simple. If I try adding things to it, it's only because I'm wanting power to control you or something like that, right? The message stands on its own. It's a beautiful message. It's just so clear, so awesome that just any of us can share this thing because God is calling all of us to be able to hear it, see it, understand it, but also be able to share it. And anyone can understand it that's around us. I think we often just forget about that. We think we're too foolish, too powerless, that we just don't have what it takes. And I'm sick of it, all right? I'm really sick of it, guys. So in our mentoring world, Forward Youth Mentoring, and I forgot to say this last service, so we got a table out there. If you want to talk about this, love to, after the service, come talk to me, please. We need lots of mentors. But the funny thing is the big part of mentoring program is I have to find mentors. Because the number here, we calculated some numbers in that. We know that there's a minimum of 2,600 kids here in the Tri-Cities who not only need, but would love to have a mentor. 2,600. We're sitting on about 22 or 23, okay? A previous program I ran years ago, we got to 100 in less than 5 years and received national attention for that, 100. And we know that 2,600 kids or 5,000, 10,000 kids could use a mentor. So the challenge is getting mentors. Why can't I get mentors? What's the reasoning behind that, right? You got to help me here. Unqualified, thank you. Carl called it out last service, so thank you for whoever said that. I just knew it's out there. We feel unqualified, right? We don't do ministry because who are we? I don't know enough Bible. I didn't go to Bible college. I'm not the best husband or wife. I wasn't the best husband or wife. I'm not the best parent. I wasn't the best parent. On and on and on our list goes. I'm too old. I'm too young. I messed up in life. Who could I, why would I be someone to stand up now? On and on. And the whole time, God's just saying, you got what it takes because you're breathing and you got me in you. Let me take care of that. So it kills me to go around and just, and I'm really not getting guilt tripping, guys. It does literally kill me to go and speak to thousands of people and then sit there after a few years and you go, all right, we're up to 40 mentors. When these kids are desperately looking for help, I interview these parents. We interview these parents of the kid coming in, and I'm telling you, a majority, like 2/3 or more of the time, will say, look, we're a faith-based organization. We're not here to push faith on you, though. So if you or your child ever feel like we're pushing something on you and your kid, let us know, because that's not appropriate, and we'll take care of that. And the moms go, no, that's cool. If you want to talk about God to my kid, that's great. But, we're busy because that TV show is on, and I couldn't give up my hour a week. Sorry. There's a little guilt for you. Just kidding. Just kidding. I want you to do what God wants you to do, wherever that is. It may not be here. It may not be at the church. Maybe God's calling you to do something else, somewhere else. You got family members. You got friends that I don't have. Those are the ones, I don't know what it is. But the joy of following this gospel is just saying, God, here I am. You use me, I guess, because I didn't do anything to gain this, and I'm not going to do anything to share this other than just following after you and listening to your words. Let me pop up a slide here with one of my favorite verses here, Acts 4:13, and this just jumps on this point even more, and it has my absolute all-time favorite picture of all, okay? This is still my favorite picture. I found this about 15 years or 13 years ago, something like that, and I'm like, I've locked onto it. Okay, so here's the verse. Out of Acts 4:13, Peter and John are sharing the gospel. These people, they're getting themselves in trouble, right? Because the religious leaders didn't like that message because it was too simple and they lost their power, et cetera, et cetera. The members of the council were amazed when they saw the boldness of Peter and John, for they could see that they were ordinary men with no special training in the scriptures. They also recognized them as men who had been with Jesus. Unschooled ordinary, yeah. I don't have to be a scientist. I don't have to be someone other than who I am. God can use me. God can use you now. Not tomorrow, not after this or that. Now. That's cool. That's exciting. Reason I got that picture up there, and I share this all the time, so if you've heard it, sorry, you got to hear it again. But the way God kicked my tail to get me into mentoring, out of moving from youth ministry into actually just doing a mentoring program, was something like this. So I was over in Richland at a church there, We ended up teaming with the city to build a skate park. That's the original skate park there. I went down those first days, it's open and hanging out there with all these kids, and I'm seeing every day 100 kids, and I'm seeing 0, 0, 0 adults, okay? So I'm going, this is not a good thing, right? Anytime you put any 100 kids together, you're in danger. So it's like, we got to get adults in their lives, right? I mean, we got to be present. We got to help these guys, encourage them. And so I challenged our church and did some different things, but I said, go down the skate park, sit at a park bench, and I guarantee a kid will come up and start talking to you. Hoping it'd work, right? Optimistic guy. But, a few weeks later, I get this awesome 85-year-old, white-haired, frail little old lady comes up to me and says, all right, Todd, I did what you said. Went to the skate park, sat down at the park bench, said, first 30 minutes I was there, I had 3 middle school boys sit down and start talking to me. So, it's crazy. Your response, even though I've been in the mentoring world and I've actually talked around the country, different places, and I get that same kind of reaction sometimes from the people in mentoring, and it really ticks me off. Because, you guys should know better. It doesn't matter who you are. Kids do not care what your hair color or skin color is. They do not care about your plaques or certificates or anything. Do you care for them? Are you there for them? That's how we can live out that gospel in such an incredible way. We don't have to be anything other than we are. We just be in Christ around them. Let them see Jesus in us like these guys, right? Peter and John, the cool statement at the end, they recognize these guys have been with Jesus. If we live the gospel well, people go, dang, why are you so stinking joyful in life? Why do you have peace in all this COVID chaos? We're all going to die. Well, we will, some of us. But as Christians, we go, but there's a part when I'm not totally scared of that because I know where I'm going. I don't want to do this today. I need some time still. But, we see a different picture of life. So live that. Let them see that. And as you spend more and more time with Jesus, I guess this is the only thing that we really need to do, I feel like, in some ways in the Christian faith when it gets down to it, is spend time with Jesus, right? Because the more time we listen to Jesus through his word, through our praying, then we sound and look more like him. Just like, they say those old couples all married, they look and sound alike, right? They start, whatever. I noticed with my mentee one day, he said some statement. He's a little 11-year-old kid. And he said some statement. It was using one of the words I use. And I like using old people words. That's just who I am. And I'm like, oh, man, this poor guy, he just used a 50-year-old man's word, But it was just because he was with me. And all of a sudden, his vocabulary started to look a little bit like mine. And you know what? Our vocabulary will look like Jesus. We will see people differently. And I'm going off script here a little bit more, but Friday I was in Spokane, and I realized that there's, if I talk about gang guys, gang kids, I'm going, you know what, those kids, they're just misguided, and they just need Jesus. And I'm not going to get upset. I don't care if they graffiti my house, whatever. I'm not going to get too upset because I'm going, they just need the Lord. But then I saw some of these homeless people on the streets there, and it ticked me off, I didn't want to offer them the same grace I was going to offer these gang guys I was just reading about. And I realized we all have those pockets where we easily go, but those people. So the more time we spend with Jesus, the better we see the world through his eyes. And that gospel is something we just can't help but want to say, dude, you need this. This is where life's at. I found it, and I'm nobody. But I get to enjoy this life, and I want you to enjoy that too. All right, let's look at this last couple of verses, then I'll close. I kind of think the band's been waiting in the back for 20 minutes. Just kidding. Just kidding. I don't think it's been that long, maybe 17. Hey, here we go. The last two verses, 30 and 31 of chapter 1 of Corinthians. God has united you with Christ Jesus. And this, I guess, is just really summing that up for us, making sure we really get this, guys. We got to get this. He's united you and me with Christ Jesus. For our benefit, God made him to be wisdom itself. I didn't say this last service. I think I owe Josh. Wisdom is a person. His name is Jesus. There you go, Josh, for you. All right, so I didn't say that last service, but this is saying God made him wisdom. Christ made us right with God. He made us pure and holy, and he freed us from sin. Remember, he did all that. You didn't have to earn it. You never could. I never could. But I get to enjoy that he has allowed me to to be in his family, to be his child, and receive all these things. Therefore, as the scriptures say, if you want to boast, boast only about the Lord. First off, guys, we will never, ever, be able to argue someone into heaven. I get a little frustrated when people get in these big arguments because it's like, if you look at it, they're spiritually dead. How could they understand a spiritual truth and spiritual living when they themselves just aren't alive? They're blinded. The scripture also talks about, we have these veils removed from our eyes. If we're going to argue them, what are we going to argue them with? What wisdom could we possibly offer them? And then there's the other side of, guys, the best life we could live, the best way we could live the gospel, isn't it simply to live a life that boasts Jesus? That we are so excited, that we look so much like Jesus, that we are calling Jesus' name out, that people are seeing Jesus by everything we do. I'll joke about introverts and extroverts all the time, and some of you are going to go, but Todd, man, you want me to go out and talk to these people? I'm introverted, it's not my thing. Okay, I get it, because I'm loud and obnoxious. I'm the opposite, so I know it's easier for me to go talk to people. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just saying live that life, most importantly, right? Because if we did that, guys, both extroverts and introverts, if us extroverts shut up a little bit more, right? If we just focused on living it well, man, we would preach the message. How does the world see Christianity today? Is it positive or is it negative? I'm telling you, probably next 5-10 years, you'll hear a lot more messages of how the church is the problem, not just that they aren't helping. You're starting to hear it now. I think in the near future, it's going to be where they're going to start trying to shut us up because we are endangering people. The world doesn't see us positively, but if we lived for Jesus so well, they couldn't help but want to know more about Jesus because they'd be going, dang, joy, peace, happiness, excitement, purpose, meaning. I want that. Like those guys got it. Let's live that way. Let's go for it. Let's have some fun living for Jesus, living it well, and just letting him take it where he wants to take it. You don't have to have it all together. Let's pray. God, you're so good. You're so good to accept us. You see in us way more than we see in us so many times. But God, I pray that we would fully understand this gospel message, that if something seems so crazy, you would care for the whole world, that every one of us you'd want to be in your family and to live this salvation, not just when we die and go to heaven, but the salvation now here on earth. Help us to just let you in and let go of the issues in our lives and give them to you, and then enjoy seeing the world through your eyes. Bless us, Father. Give us strength to do this. Keep us from buying into the foolishness of the world.